who is the Acolyte that the title of the next Star Wars show is referring to? And more importantly, who is the mysterious Sith Lord under the mask that we've seen in the trailer? Well, one might answer the other, and it's not Darth Plagueis, it's not Darth Tenebrus, but it might be connecting these two Sith Lords to this show, and could even allow us to see one, if not both, of these Sith Lords in canon for the first time ever.
This is where the fun begins.
So who is under this mask? Who is the mysterious Sith Lord? Well, to answer that, we have to understand what is an Acolyte, and who is the Acolyte being referred to with this title. Well, the Sith are just like the Jedi. They have different levels or tiers to their rankings. With the Jedi, you have Grand Masters, Knights, Apprentices, Padawans, Younglings, the list goes on. But for the Sith, it's a very short list. A Master, an Apprentice, and Acolytes. Now, at one point in time, there was just as many Sith as there were Jedi, over 1,000 years before the events of the prequel trilogy. But a Sith Lord by the name of Darth Bane put in the rule of two. He believed that all the power of the dark side was being spread too thin across thousands of Sith Lords. So he wanted just two beings in the entire galaxy to be wielding the dark side of the Force, a Master and an Apprentice. So for over 1,000 years, the rule of two was in place. And that's why Yoda says this at the end of The Phantom Menace when Obi-Wan has just killed Darth Maul.
Always two there are. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice.
So although the Sith do have the rule of two in place, that doesn't stop them from having Sith acolytes. And an acolyte is pretty much just an apprentice of the apprentices. For example, back in the Clone Wars, Palpatine was the master, Count Dooku was the apprentice, and the Sith acolytes were Asajj Ventress and Savage Opress. They were being trained by Count Dooku to become Sith Lords, but they weren't quite Sith yet. So the reason this show is titled The Acolyte is because our main character, May, that we see all throughout this trailer, is an acolyte of the Sith, meaning that her master is not a Sith master like Tenebrus or Plagueis, but her master is just the apprentice. Meaning this mysterious Sith Lord that we've seen throughout the trailer is not a master at all. He's not Tenebrus, he's not going to be Plagueis, but he could be one of their apprentices. The Acolyte takes place about 100 years before the events of The Phantom Menace, meaning both Plagueis and Tenebrus could technically be alive at this time. Darth Tenebrus hasn't really been brought into canon yet, so he could be alive at any point in time and it would make sense. Darth Plagueis, on the other hand, has a life expectancy. He dies during the events of The Phantom Menace. However, he is a Mun, and Mun can live up to 200 plus years old. Especially with the dark side of the Force, he could live a lot longer.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
So technically, both of these characters could be alive at this time. However, I think that it's more likely that the Sith Master at the time of the Acolyte show is going to be Darth Plagueis. I think more fans recognize the name, recognize the character, and will be more excited to see him than even his own master. But tell me in the comments, do you think we'll see Tenebrus or Plagueis in the Acolyte show? Okay, now all of this just means that the mysterious Sith Lord under this creepy looking mask is most likely a new Sith Lord in Star Wars. And before you start saying, oh no, they're adding new characters again, this is gonna go horribly, it's most likely that this character will die by the end of this show, and the Acolyte, our character May, will take the role as the Sith apprentice. So if I were you, I wouldn't get too attached to this mysterious Sith Lord. Look at the prequel trilogy. Palpatine had many apprentices before Anakin Skywalker. Darth Maul dies at the end of The Phantom Menace, and Count Dooku gets his hands and head chopped off in Revenge of the Sith. However, by the end of this series, I do think that we will see Darth Tenebrus or Darth Plagueis be revealed as the Master. Maybe not to the Jedi, but at least to the audience. But if you have your hopes up to see a Sith Lord like Tenebrus or Plagueis in this Acolyte show, fighting against Jedi and being badass, you're gonna be let down by this show. It's called The Acolyte because it's gonna be following an Acolyte of the Sith, meaning not the Master and not even the Apprentice. But tell me what you think in the comment section below. Do you think this this mysterious Sith Lord is just the apprentice of possibly Darth Plagueis? Or do you think it's somebody else? Tell me in the comments below. And the Bad Batch Season 3 just ended, but we might be seeing Omega in live action sometime soon. But I explain where I think Omega will show up next in this video right here.